We've known each other a while. I have to say, you sound pretty excited about next year in a way that I've not heard you for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we're not always, one way. So I would say we've been excited about this for 6 months. It's just now we can kind of see it in a way where we can see a broadening out. We see it in the numbers, right? We've been waiting for this. So in the last 2 quarters, we've actually seen a broadening out of the earnings story for the first time, even before the election outcome. Okay, so this is a 2-step process. It's going to be, noisy. Stocks are expensive. Okay, that's something we have to understand. The markets are ahead of this already. Let's not think that we're discovering the light bulb here. Okay, the markets have already done this. So, but yes, I think there's a wider path now, a wider set of opportunities, which to me is more exciting.
You've spent a lot of time speaking to clients over the last few months, I'm sure, about the outlook for 2025. What are they most skeptical about? What's the biggest pushback you get?
Well, valuation has been, I've been skeptical on that, quite frankly. So it's still, people are uncomfortable with the valuation in the equity markets. But then when you think about, what else is there out there? And then you look at the U.S. versus other markets too. So that's probably the biggest one. The second one is just, it still feels unstable. I mean, like geopolitics, the political, angst in this country is like not resolved. I mean, there's still this very bifurcated political environment. People's economic situations are very bifurcated. That makes people uncomfortable. So I think that's the part that people it's hard to get uber bullish when you have all these things that are kind of holding you back.
Do you sense that some clients, and of course you're not going to name any, but do you sense that some are finding it difficult to divorce their political bias away from their economic views? Have they learned the lesson of 2016-17?
I mean, most clients are more objective. Investment clients are more objective about that because they have to be, right? Because there's this thing called the price that makes them be objective about the outcome. That doesn't mean they don't hold personal biases. We all do. That's natural. I do think 2016 maybe changed that a bit, but look, we're all forced to perform, and whether it's a political bias or it's a style bias, you have to navigate that and be flexible.
Just to put a bow on this conversation, the essence of this conversation when you talked about the administration was the real potential for real change. When I asked you about whether some of these clients are skeptical about 2025, are they skeptical about anything in the administration's agenda that you think maybe they should be paying more attention to?
Well, we wrote about this weekend. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of skepticism on whether they can actually streamline the government because it's just, I mean, people have tried this before. This is not like a new idea, right? So it's difficult. And we all know about these roadblocks that are kind of built into the system that, the appropriations, the way you get the money that have to be spent, the civil liberties laws, which are good laws to protect people's rights on jobs. But it's almost like you're fighting against this giant blob and people are very skeptical that you could beat the blob. And I think that's an area where we need to be a little bit more open-minded. I'm more open-minded about that because this is what the American people want. When I forget about talking to investment clients, when I talk to people on the ground, people look at the government and they say, hey, government does a lot of great things for me, okay? But I have to worry about my job all the time. I have to operate in a different world. Why should they be operating in a different environment? I just think there's opportunity. And this is also potentially liberating for people in the government. There are really good employees in the government, okay? They just play for a bad team. It's like, let's take a good player on a bad team and let's put them on a better team, and then probably you get more productivity out of that person. I think that's exciting. It's a lot of risk. Okay, it's going to be a really messy road.
Yep.
But that to me is interesting.